Okay, guys, so here's the next set of tours I did. There are two towns next door to each other called Collingswood, and the other one's called Haddon Heights. And so I don't know what possessed me to do two sets of tours in the same day, but I did. And so I made it. It was they started during the I think an hour before the farmers market ended. So I went from a farmers market to doing these tours, and so kind of a little bit crazy. I'm not sure I would ever do that again. But let's start off with the first clip. So this is the first house I went to. So this was definitely, these people were definitely gardeners. So I'm sure you can see from the beds that they're not very filled up. I did talk to the owner. They had cleared out a lot of things this year and did new plantings, probably because their things are overgrown. The impression I had gotten from my conversation with them is that they had been in the house for quite a bit of time. And so these were home and garden tours, but to be quite honest, I felt the emphasis was more on the home than the garden. Like this is that one section, which is really, really nice. I like the pencil hollies. Um, and I'm trying to think, is the last, I guess this is the last picture. So the first picture, because I guess I took pictures and then did a video. But anyway, here's me on the side of the house. A lot of the houses in Collingswood were built in the late 1800s, so they do have that more ornate Victorian feel to them. So I did like the way they had the flagstone paths. I liked how they did the side yard. A lot of green. There wasn't a lot of like colorful flowers. That's what I would say about this whole situation. But hey guys, video. It's Brooke here, and I'm doing double garden tours. I'm doing one in Collingswood, and I'm doing one in Haddon Heights. I'm crazy because I just finished doing the farmers market, and I am beat. What? I'm beat but not dead. So anyway, this one looks like it's going to go pretty quick. Everything is kind of all in the same vicinity. So, anyway, I'll show you guys later. In addition to the fact that everything was in the same vicinity, Collingswood, the yards are much smaller, so it doesn't take that long to go through them, thankfully. So this was a nice big backyard. They had some plantings there. They had a nice pergola. I did like the pergola. That's something I would definitely consider adding in future. Is this the same house? Oh my gosh. I can't tell if this is the same house or this is a different backyard. Maybe this was on the side. I can't tell. Oh no, it must not be because this is this is a different type of pergola, and that's not the pergola I just showed you. So I did like how this was in the shade and that sort of thing. They didn't really have much by planting, but they did. Actually, I did like the rug on the ground on the thing. I want to get a rug for my back patio area. That would be nice. And let's see. Oh, they had a she shed, and so I obviously they've got electric to it because they've got a TV and that sort of thing, plus like a bike and that everything. And it looks like there's some weights or something on the wall. It was a nice touch to it. So this house is on, I think is it called Park Avenue in Collingswood? So the stuff there is, the houses are a little bit bigger. It's near a high school, as you can see from this. This yard was a little bit bigger. The family that bought it, I think they moved from New York, so it was a younger husband and wife with children. So they had really just, I like the sunroom. That's why I took a picture of it. In the backyard, they didn't really have much at all, because they really had been concentrating on redoing the interior of the house. And the interior of the house did look really nice, but they really hadn't started on the backyard. And so, oh, you know what? This is a fig tree somebody had that I took a picture of because the figs were really everybody's fig trees this year just seem to be coming in hot early on in the season. Um, so this is another set of houses. The this person had a really this is in Haddon Heights. Okay, so the person who had this yard was a gardener, and they had a really nice, big, thick front flower bed. So I really, really appreciated that, and I took a picture while I was in it. Um, and they just had a lot of different types of plants. You could tell that they were very much into gardening because it just the entire thing just screamed, "I'm a gardener." Um, they had a lot of very traditional type plantings and that sort of thing. Definitely a little bit more colorful. Um, it was very their entire plant collection, you could tell it had just been collected over the years. This was another house in Haddon Heights. This was a terrace. This was like walking on the side of their house. They put retaining walls, and I did take a video because it was really, really cool looking. There was so when you got to a certain point, I think these are the stairs right here. You actually did have to get up here to walk back there, but I really liked it. Um, I just, you know me, I like terracing. Um, and this was okay. So I had walked up to the second level. So this is the small pathway where you got to walk towards the back. It was just really very. I liked how they had done this. There's this one lady on Instagram who has a backyard that has a lot of terraces, kind of like the sixth house in the previous video that I showed you. And this just kind of reminded me of it because when she actually walks through it, you can see it's kind of narrow in some places, but you know, who cares? It's a terrace. um, so this was the backyard. So this backyard once you got back there, it was kind of sprawling. And so they had a lot of hydrangeas, as you can see. Obviously, their soil is pretty acidic because it's blue. Um, they had a lot of stepping stones. They had a lot of seating areas, and yeah, I like the flagstone paths. That was really nice. They had a lot of rhododendrons around. And then I'm trying to think. There was actually a garden tour was of a Catholic church, and I forgot the name of it. And so they had planted this up next to the statue. I don't know who the statue was for, but I thought it was really nice. They had like almost like a prayer garden area out there. And this was along the other side of the church building, and then. Oh, actually, I think they had a water feature back here, if I remember correctly, like a small fountain. Actually, let's zoom in on this and see. I'm pretty sure there was. Yes, there you go. There's a water feature right there. So it was making a nice tinkling sound, so I like that. Um, Trying to remember what this was on the side of. It was in, oh, you know what? One of the houses, they had a really planted up backyard. So this was another house. Um, I really should have done a better job. It's just, you know what? I was so tired by this point that I just couldn't bear it at a certain point in time. But yes, this particular backyard, the owners were definitely gardeners. They planted a lot of things up. Um, they had a lot of different types of plants in the back. People were sitting out in their lawn chairs, just enjoying themselves. I noticed they had some sunflower, had a lot of hosta, because there was a fair amount of shade in the backyard. And this was on, I think, the side of one of the houses. This is Lamb's Ear, I believe. Don't really have much of that. Oh, and that's the last picture. So anyway, if I had not been so tired, I probably would have done a much better job with filming, but I was just taking pictures. So, it was nice. Like I said, it wasn't, the concentration really was on mostly about the interior of the houses as opposed to the outside, because like people were letting you literally tour up to the third floor of their house and back down again. So people's houses were pretty full. So Haddonfield and excuse me, Haddon Heights and Collingswood, like I said, their yards are smaller. So, which is why I was able to do as many houses as I did. Is now that I'm looking back on this, I'm just trying to remember how many houses actually ended up going to that day. And some of them I don't think I took pictures at because there just really wasn't anything to see in the backyard. I want to say I did went to 14 or 15 houses that day. So, it was pretty intense. I was a little bit disappointed because this year, I was hoping that like last year I went to the one in Morristown. I mean, they didn't have a lot of plantings, but there was a lot of big properties that had landscaping and it was pretty nice. Also, I don't think Willingboro did another one. So and then also there's this one called Riverton. They didn't do one this year either. So there was a couple of towns near me that did not do garden tours this year. So I went to I went to these. Now, these are in Camden County. So in Camden County in general, it tends to be the yards are smaller, whereas the other ones that I was just talking about, those are in Burlington County. In Burlington County, houses typically have are larger properties, and so when people are planting them, you do have a much larger area that's been planted up. So I'm hoping next year. I think for some reason I feel like with Riverton, I want to say maybe they do it every other year, and Morristown, I forgot what I think for whatever reason, there was just a lot of people away the typical week they did it, which is why they didn't have it. So was there anything on the Collingswood and Haddonfield tour that I saw that I would do in my yard? I mean, not really. I mean, you know, they had, I mean, certain things like, for example, hostas I really can't do because I have a lot of sun, but it was just, I have a lot of those plants. Um, you know, their yards are smaller than mine, so I've kind of already designed everything. And so it's just I have a lot more space to do things. So I don't know, some of the stuff wasn't it just wasn't for me, it just wasn't, applicable. I did, one of the people that were gardeners, the one where I showed you the front of bed. Um, they had the owner was talking about the fact that she likes to have like a succession of blooms. So one of the things they had was like some sort of like creeping phlox that had been like pink earlier on in the spring. So it kind of acted like once the blooms fell off of it, it was kind of like a ground cover. So that is something I would consider doing, especially in areas where I have a little bit more shade. Hopefully, it will keep some of the weeds down. And I'm talking about on the side of my house where like there's a stand of hollies. Um, so yeah, so that was it. And so in next video, I'll be showing you the Hardy Plant Society because we were in the Kennett Square area. And so there was some good stuff to see. But anyway, like I said, it was a nice tour. It's always nice to see. It's nice to take a peek into other people's yards. It was very interesting getting to tour people's houses because I don't usually do house tours, but it was really interesting to see how people, were renovating. A lot of the people who were doing renovations and fixing up, they did a pretty good job of maintaining the character of the homes. I found that in with Collingswood and Haddon Heights, it seemed like a lot of those people had moved into those houses as a result of COVID. And so it seemed like a lot of them were from like the New York area who came down and that sort of thing. So they spent the first couple of years just doing like changing things on the inside of their house. But like I said, they were doing a pretty good job of what they were doing. But it was just really interesting hearing people's story. So one thing I would say about all the garden tours that I'm showing you is that I did like the fact that the people, the owners were actually there to answer questions and that sort of thing. If you guys remember from the Morristown tour that I did last year, there was this one plant I wanted to know what it was, and the owners weren't around for you to ask questions, but these people were. So anyway, guys, I have one more set of garden tours, and I will show that to you, and then we will go on to, I don't even remember what the next video is about, but we'll find out. So thanks you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.